What do an oven, a train, and magical dust need to be completed? A bow, of course. Hello Internet, my name is Harden and welcome to the newest episode of Torchlight 3 News. And today I'm gonna speak about the reveal of the Sharpshooter class, the fourth class in Torchlight 3. Well, when you followed my Torchlight Frontiers playthrough, I think you could see the Sharpshooter in the menu, or at least you could see the update 10 picture, which was picturing the new Sharpshooter. But anyway, this post reveals also the lore, the origins in development, and the playstyle, and some really cool background thoughts they made about the Sharpshooter class. And there's also a reveal video you can find in my trailer playlist on my channel, and if you would like to watch, then do yourself a favor and click on the video. So, the Sharpshooter lore. I think it's really a cool idea. There is a tribe of hunters in the Amber Hills, in the near of Red Haven. I still don't know where Red Haven is, but maybe I will find out when I'm arriving in the last act of Torchlight 3. And this tribe has very skilled shooters and masked men, and there's a competition known as the Pursuit, where they compete against each other to find out who's the best, and the best will get artifacts. Also, they are working as adventurers for hire to find artifacts, and there's something called the Finder's Clause. The Finder's Clause allow them to keep some of the artifacts they find, and when I interpret this correctly, when I think about this correctly, I think they can choose which artifacts they want to keep and which artifacts they have to give up to their contractor. And so they normally will keep the artifacts which are haunted by spirits, and they will tame these spirits so they can control them and summon them at their will. When it's coming to the development background, they had really deep thinking about the Sharpshooter class. The Sharpshooter class is really one of the first classes they were developing since 2017. So a time when we let all hope fly that there will ever be a Torchlight 3. And so we were disappointed, and now we are happy, yes. And they thought about which kind of class they would like to have, because they had the Railmaster and the Forged as the melee classes, and they had the Dusk Mage as the magical range class. So they definitely wanted to have some range class, but they didn't know what kind of class. Should it be trap based or only ranged attacks? And yeah, they made the first image of the Sharpshooter class, and if you look at this image, it is more hinting to the Outlander class of Torchlight 2 than to the Sharpshooter class, with how it looks like now in Torchlight 3. But there aren't any melee weapons like the Outlander had. He had these glaives, I don't know the correct pronunciation, which he could throw, but also used to fight in melee combat. And yeah, they thought what would they like to have, and they really came closer to the Sharpshooter and focused on that. And yeah, they really wanted to have a ranged attack class, which also focuses on light summoning. And yes, we will talk later about the class skills they revealed, and then you will see what maybe are my problems with the summoning part. But yeah, they really come to the point where they thought, okay, if we do a ranged attack class, which weapons should it use? In Torchlight 2 and in Torchlight 3, of course, you will have rifles and guns and pistols and maybe cannons. Of course, cannons. At least with the Forged, you have cannons. So they had to think about something special for the Sharpshooter class. And they came up with the idea that the mechanical weapons are more like for everyone. And the bow is a weapon you only can use effectively if you are a highly trained and skilled fighter with the bow. So the bow had to be the ultimate weapon for the sharpshooter. But normally in games, if a character uses a bow, it's not that impressive. So they had to make the shooting as well as the impact of the bolt very, very impactful. It should feel like a real cool animation, like a real cool thing to do. Like if you hit someone with a two-hander blade, that kind of cool in-game. Of course, not in real life, in-game. And so they thought about how they could do this. And yeah, I think they really got this. It's really cool to fire the weapons of the sharpshooter. And yeah, they came up with the bow as the special weapon and with many varieties of the bow. They started with, of course, a normal wooden bow up to a very, very, very composite high mechanical bow and some magical ideas like this, I don't know, vampire bow. Or here the amber crystal bow or the unicorn bow, which is most likely looking like a bow you could also find in the Mongols army. And yeah, these bows are very cool and special, and they are unique for the sharpshooter class. Every class can find some pistols and some rifles, no problem. Only the sharpshooter can find bows, and only the forged one can find cannons, of course. And yeah, these bows are really a main part of the lore, of the feeling of this new class, and making this class very, 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 very special. And if you're looking of the development, there's a second draft and the second imagining of this class where you find 6 different styles of this class they imagined. I mean, this more looks like a different race. But hey, the forged one is also not human, so maybe there will be different races, and who knows, maybe not all unhuman races in Torchlight are enemies. Maybe some of them are friends, despite the Guardians, which are clearly not human and clearly friends. And if you don't know the Guardians, maybe you should try to play Torchlight 2. It is really, really worth it. So yeah, and as you can see, here are 2 spirits they summoned. So that's kind of the light summoning. And you can find the very different bows and rifles they mentioned for this kind of masked man sharpshooting class, of course. But yeah, here's a special sentence I really like to recommend. We wanted their look to feel like a traveler, not traditional, probably non-Western. So it shouldn't look like a cowboy from a Western, like a Mexican pistolero. No, it should look like a traveler, like an adventurer who's taking his bow and his spirit friends to fight the evil of the world and to make it more secure for the rest of the inhabitants of this world. And here you can see the final look. And if you're looking at the different elements, you can find some Asian elements like on the top of the head and like these mandala looking like emblems. And here like this lantern, which is kind of the trinkets also the sharpshooter uses. But you can also find really European elements like the big hats. You can find in, I don't know, stories like Sorrow. Okay, Sorrow is playing in the Spain Americans, of course. And yeah, but these were normal hats in Europe to this time. And when you look at the musketeers and stuff like that, so like in the 17th century, that's therefore you also have also these Baroque elements here, like these yeah, like the shoes and the mantles, which really look like a second dress. Yeah, like all these cool stuffs, which also have a little bit vibe um, of steampunk. When it's here, you see the steam gazing out of the knee plates. So it's like they are filled with fire and steam that is trying to come out. Maybe it's not steam, but maybe it's a ghostly mist from a spirit within these artifacts. Nah, we will see. So the sharpshooter has two different skill trees he uses. Of course, a shooting skill tree and the summoning skill tree. And yeah, if you look at the shooting skills they revealed, you find the scattering shot. And I think there's no MMO or any other game out there where you can shoot and have skills which doesn't have a scatter shot. I mean, it's the easiest way to imagine a skill for a shooter class. You shoot one projectile, which is going to be many projectiles. It's cool, each dealing damage. And if you're holding down the button to shoot scatter shots after scatter shots without any break in between, it increases the damage. But what is really important, it also uses, well, the resource of the sharpshooter, and it's really used in a very, 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 very fast way. So yes, it also refills very fast, but it's also getting exhausted very fast. So you really have to think about which skills you use and which you don't. The Heart Seeker is also somewhat a normal skill, but has a cool idea. So it knockbacks the enemy, it does weapon damage, and it leaves the enemy bleeding, which is cool. But man, the knockback I think will not really work on boss enemies, and that's a little bit kind of tragic. I don't know why I can't knock back boss enemies. I mean, to not be able to knock back boss enemies just shows that there is not enough ideas for skills for these bosses, so that the knockback doesn't make any problems. But anyway, you have also the targeted strike. You fire 3 piercing shots and each dealing weapon damage. And what I find is a really cool idea is that each successful hit on the same target deals extra damage. Oh, yeah, on the same target. Which means if you're using it to shoot on bigger enemies like bosses and stuff like that, the third shot will make more damage than the first shot, so it's always worth to stand a moment and shoot. Which also means you have to consider the skills of the enemy to see if you have to avoid a hit, if your positioning is right and stuff like that. I really like it if it goes down to that. Not that I have to read into the skills like they did in wild. I forgot about this. Ah, like in some other games. Oh, even like in um. Now I forgot this name too. Yeah, cool. Like in other games where you have where not only your positioning is um is very important for you, but also the use of the avoiding skills is very, 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 very important to survive. So the other three skills they revealed is the Scout Bones. You summon an ancient red spirit swarm that moves slowly, piercing target for damage and leaves them poisoned. So it really reminds me a little bit on the Locust swarm of Diablo 3, where you have a swarm of locusts that hit an enemy, poisoning him, and spreading to hit more enemies and more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And if you skill and if you use the right rune for this skill, you can hit very, 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 very much, very, very many enemies in a short time. And if they are small, you even can kill them very fast and get a high kill rating, which is improving all the bonuses you get. And yeah, it really feels more like a damage over time skill, like a real summoning skill, if you read in the description. Um, some similar feelings I get with the sacrifice to Goose. Goose is an eagle you call down, which knockbacks the enemies and making them vulnerable to damage, which is cool, but feels more like just a chant, just a spell I cast. An enemy spirit, eagle spirit comes down, hit the enemy, and now he's vulnerable. I mean, it's like a curse. It's like a spell curse. Okay, more into the direction of real summoning goes the loyal Shasta, which is an animal spirit friend, a wolf spirit you summoning, which attacks enemies, taunt them for a while, and stays a while. And there's another skill which they didn't reveal where you are summoning stuff and it stays for a while. And if you skill this skill high enough, it doesn't only stay for a while, but it stays long enough so you can reuse the skill after the summoning vanishes. Which is a little bit weird because it only means if there are too big of gaps between two groups of enemies, you can't use the full power of the skill. And you always have to recast this skill, which means you need it as an active skill. I don't like this very much. I mean, I really like the shooting part of the Sharpshooter. These skills are great and they provide a great lore, but the summoning skills, despite not really providing that great of a lore to a Sharpshooter, which is using bows, are also not really feeling like real summoning skills. They are more feeling like damage over time skills for the most summonings because they stay a while, they take a while, and then they vanish. And most of the time, they are vanishing before you can resummon them, so they are more like powerful skills you can use, but you don't have available for all the time. They don't really feel like summonings that will stay and fight with me, like in Diablo 3. They also have two types of summoners. You have the passive summoner, like the Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctor is summoning his monsters and they are fighting for him, and he has to use other active skills to be active in fights. And then you have the Necromancer, which can use his skills to actively summoning skeletons and golems, but also uses the skeleton and golem skills to even do special effects. In Torchlight 3, you have the Railmaster, which is summoning or build a train which is following him. So it's just one big, well, pet. But this pet can be individualized. At least 3 parts of this can be individualized. This is really cool. And this really sounds like a fun idea, so that you have your own golem and you build your own golem the way you want and the golem to be. This is cool. But then on the other hand, you have the summoner, which is only summoning over time. I mean, I don't really like this. And I really think they should do more with both of the summoners. And yes, I criticized this especially because I really like summoners. Since the Necromancer of Diablo 2, since the summonings of Final Fantasy 7, I'm a real big fan of summoner classes in every game where they are available. And I'm always a little bit sad if the summoning classes aren't done right. I mean, the Warlock in World of Warcraft in his first version was something like a disappointment because you could only have one monster at given time. Nowadays you can have more, or you can switch between being the mass summoner of imps or having a special demon or having more demons and stuff like that. And you also have a second summoning class with the Dark Knight. So yeah, cool stuff. And if you're looking at Torchlight, you have the summoner of one, and you have the summoner of many over time. I know it's a balancing problem, but you know, the problem is sorry, in Torchlight 3, and as you could see in Torchlight Frontiers, you only have 6 skill slots, and 2 of them are the mouse skill slots. So where you also use the left mouse button to walk, and you also use the right mouse button to do stuff. But the real problem, in my opinion, is that you need more skill slots or more things you could do with the skills. And if you then have skills that could be easily just passives, like summoning skills, that's really sad. I mean, look at the Railmaster. He summons only one monster, but every thing you summon has also an active skill. This is cool. This is the Necromancer approach to the summoning, and that's a very cool idea. You have just one big monster with several skills. Cool. I mean, okay, no monster is fighting it, although you can make it a taunter. Okay, fair enough. And therefore, because it doesn't fight any monsters or doesn't taunt any monsters with its damage, you are more like the big armed guy. That's cool. And then you have the light and quick shooter, which apparently summons spirits, which are vanishing very fast. Which is cool when you think about spirits. Of course, spirits from another world, from the other world, are hard to make stay in this world. Yes, I understand the lore aspect of the idea, but I don't think it really fits the summoning idea very well. So I really hope they will change it in the future, and maybe they change the skills so that you maybe have to choose which skills you would like to use as a passive skill and which skill you would like to use as an active skill. Because at the moment you can have more skills than you can use, and you have always the feeling that the active part is way stronger than the passive part. You know, like you saw in my Torchlight Frontiers Let's Plays, all skills are active and passive, which is kind of cool, but also makes the passive part way, way, way less strong. Really, really weak. Because they always have to consider you use it as one of your 6 active skills you can use at maximum. And most of the time, one of your skill slots is also captured by the active skill of the artifact you have. So yeah, that's also one thing to consider. You have many artifacts and which artifact you would like to take and stuff. So you have a lot of ways to individualize, although the classes don't have so many skill trees. But you don't have enough slots to use all the skills. Most of the time there's also no need for all of the skills, which I find a little bit which I find worth than to don't have enough slots for all the skills. And I think they really should make it a decision. Do I want to use the skill active or passive? So if they would do this, they could make each skill a big passive and a big active, and not just a good active and a way smaller passive. Yeah, but anyway, that's it for today's news. That's everything I can tell you at the moment about the Sharpshooter class of Torchlight 3. Hope you liked it, and if you have any questions about Torchlight 3, you can write them in the comment, and as soon as the NDA is over, I will try to answer all of them. Maybe some of them, some of them will vanish over the time, but maybe some of them will stay important even when the game will be published. So anyway, I hope you liked this video. Maybe you will like, share, subscribe. Sorry. I will not do this. And without further ado, I hope you had fun watching me telling you about the news. And we will see us next time. Goodbye, yours, Harden.